continue, depending on, or, for as long as, well, I hope it continues, because it needs to continue, because we do need to have good relations with our nearest neighbour.
Yeah, I know
Full stop.
it was oversimplified for British people as well, what it really meant, was it?
Yeah, and look, I mean, like, in all
saving
political
money
campaigns,
or this and that. It was more
in all
complex than that.
political campaigns, the two sides put forward their best foot forward, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the best foot of some of the people on the pro-Brexit side was to actually make false claims. For example, the claim that Britain was paying, what is it, 300 million euros a week to, 300 million, whatever it was, 391 million pounds a week to the EU budget, and that this money would all be saved. And even though that calculation was based on Britain getting no benefit at all, whereas in fact Britain got huge benefits from the EU budget.
Correct.
So, they refused to acknowledge the fact that there was a gross payment, which is the one they quoted, but there was also a net payment, which is a lot lower.
Yeah.
So there was a degree of dishonesty there, I have to confess. And, but it was successfully put forward by people like Boris Johnson, who were very good communicators. I know Boris from my time in Brussels, so, I know what he's like. I know how good he is at putting forward his own point of view. But that point of view was frankly dishonest, because it refused to recognize a simple reality that the figure they were quoting was a gross figure, whereas the relevant figure was a net figure, which was a lot lower, because Britain and all parts of Britain got significant benefit from EU membership.
And there was no check coming back to them overnight. There were payments made. It was a long-term thing, and they were...
the way the EU budget works is that countries pay in
Correct.
to the budget, and then through the various policies of the Union, they get back benefits. So, for example, in the Irish case, we get back benefit from the Common Agricultural Policy. We get back benefit from the EU structural funds. And that was the same for Britain. Even though Britain is not a big agricultural country, and nonetheless, British farmers were getting significant payments from the Common Agricultural Policy, which you have to take away from the contribution that Britain makes in order to get the net figure. Likewise, the poorer parts of Britain, like, Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland and, the north of England, they were getting significant funding from the European Union structural funds. Yeah. So Britain was getting a lot back. And then, of course, it was getting the less tangible, but even more important benefit of having access to the European single market and benefiting their economy in that way.
Yeah. Who was your chancellor during your time in Germany?
In Germany, it was Angela Merkel the whole time I was there.
Right.
Yeah.
And how was that? Totally different?
Yeah, I mean, look, Angela Merkel is, I think, a special politician in that she's not charismatic in the normal way.
Yeah.
Right? She's kind of understated in many ways, but she's a very astute operator, and she, I think, steered Germany through a difficult time, because a lot of Germans, weren't too convinced about the euro. And they didn't want to stand behind the euro during the crisis of 2009, 10, 11, where we were exposed in a very big way.
Right.
And Angela Merkel was one of those who basically understood the importance of the euro and the European Union to Germany, and therefore the need for Germany to put its back into it and not to shirk its responsibility. So even though we got a hard time from the Germans in some ways, you could say that they kind of... embrace us with tough love. Nonetheless, at the end of the day, the euro survived and the Irish economy bounced back, and we managed to deal with this existential crisis. It could have ruined our economy for decades. Yeah. And you have to give Angela Merkel some credit for that, in my view.
And is her understanding of people? She's very cerebral, because you don't see her move.
Look, she's a scientist, right? Yeah. So I used to always think when she was chancellor, you had Sarkozy, who was the German president for part of my time anyway. Yeah. And I always felt that Merkel was the exact opposite of Sarkozy. Sarkozy got up in the morning, had a new idea, went off and talked to the media about it, and then the whole system had to somehow,
figure it out.
Had to figure out what it meant. And he's a little bit like Donald Trump in some ways, a very powerful figure who was instinctive and, had strong views, and he sort of launched those views, and then the French system had to catch up with him somehow and had to make it all happen. Whereas I think in Merkel's case, she's the kind of person that would have had an idea and would have called a seminar in the Chancellery and brought in all the experts and teased it out over a long period of time and then ultimately come to a decision. So the exact opposite of the instinctive. Now, I happen to think that in politics, you need a bit of instinct alongside your kind of technocratic, abilities. I think ultimately Merkel did have the instinct that she understood viscerally that the European Union was more important to Germany than euros and cents.
Yeah, very right. Yeah, how was
that there was something more important than because a lot of Germans, I knew Germans who were appalled at what they saw as Germany bailing out the rest of Europe, feckless countries that couldn't manage their economies were now coming to Germany, cap in hand, looking for Germany to bail them out. And of course, I mean, a lot of Germans.
And in fairness, Dan, they were fed up paying people East Germany. They were
maybe, I mean, it might even be that the majority of Germans would have taken that view.
Yeah.
But the good thing was that Merkel, at least, and the people around her understood that this was a bigger deal.
Yeah.
And that actually Germany is getting a very good deal from the EU in the sense that it has this massive market, it has good relations with all of its neighbours. Its currency is much weaker than it would be if it was on its own. So, there were also the reasons why. I mean, one German economist said to me once, this is now a while ago, this is back in 2010 or there, but he said, Germany benefits from having a first world economy and a second world currency, because the value of the euro was set by the whole Eurozone, not by Germany.
Yeah.
Whereas if Germany had the Deutschmark during the crisis, Deutschmark would have appreciated in value to the point where Germany would have had difficulty in being competitive.
Correct, yeah. And where do you live, in Bonn?
No, I live in Berlin.
I live in
a place called Grunewald.
All right.
We have a nice residence there. It's in the area. A lot of the embassies are there. It's a very nice part of Germany. It would have been part of the old West Berlin, and there's it was a very nice place to live, and the housing, the residence there is quite attractive and quite good. It's a good place to live. Yeah.
No, I lived 2 years in Stuttgart, and
Stuttgart is more, it's more southern.
Swabian.
I mean, Berlin is very
trendy, cool.
It's very northern and very eastern as well.
Yeah,
it's very close to the Polish border after all. You're talking about an hour's drive to get to places on the Polish border.
Yeah. And your time in Washington then with the esteemed President Trump, how was that?
It was fascinating, yeah. I mean,
fascinating, a big F or fascinating with small F, just fascinating.
Just fascinating with small and big Fs, yeah. I mean, first of all, America is an extraordinary country with the diversity of the America, 50 states. Each of the 50 states could be a country in itself, in a kind of a, if you think about Africa, for example, there are probably 40 countries in Africa. Well, there are 50 states in America, and some of them at least would be very viable as separate countries. In fact, probably most of them would be. So and it's got great diversity, from the East Coast to the middle, and then the North and the South, even climatically and so forth. So it's a fantastic country to live in. Also, Americans are extremely warm and friendly. I mean, when they get to know you, they really do take you into their company and they embrace you with a warm embrace. And we met a lot of fantastic people in America who were very generous to us. And, whenever we went anywhere in America, officially, the Irish community would rally round and you'd be, welcomed with open arms and with great warmth. And that was something that really impressed me greatly, and people would invite us to their homes for weekends, to their, holiday homes and so forth. So, I mean, Americans are very, they're very fond of Ireland. I mean, some Irish people scoff at this and go, "Oh God, it's cringe making." No, it's not. This is part of American identity.
Yeah.
Irish America is an American identity, and it's an important identity for many Americans.
It is a thing, and we have to accept that. And
it's a thing. I mean, it just is. I mean, I knew people in America who could tell you where their great grandparents were born.
Yeah.
They could tell you the exact townland where they were born.
Exactly.
I haven't. I mean, I'm sure most Irish people, beyond the grandparents, we probably can't easily go. I mean, if we want to, we can trace it back. But I mean, it's not a thing that most Irish people are that interested in doing.
Yeah. And switching gears, Dan, resilience, is that something typically Irish, unique to Irish, or is just a marketing thing?
I think it's well, if you look at history, right now we won't always be like this because we are now a prosperous, wealthy country in many ways. So, resilience is maybe associated with countries that are maybe on the way up in the world. But if you look back over it, I mean, we managed to secure our independence in 1922 for our part of Ireland anyway, for the Free State, which was not an easy thing to do, and it required